Buff Nation, I'm pumped up about this. There were some things that I noticed on the offensive line that I think are really, really interesting. I would even count one as a big time surprise for me. I'm going to break it all down for you guys, along with my other takes and insights so far on spring ball practice. I love the fact that we're able to do this. Credit to Coach Prime, still keeping this whole thing going. Please be sure. Let me know your takeaways in the comments. Smash that like and subscribe. And yeah, as I've been watching Reach the People, Well Off Media, Uncle Neely, the pregame show, all that, kind of trying to pay attention to what I see, what they're putting out on the internet. And the first thing that I noticed, guys, I was very interested to see what did that first team starting offensive line look like. And this is what we saw. We saw Jordan Seaton, of course, at left tackle. We saw Kareem Harden working next to him, which I love that. I really like the idea of putting him at left guard next to Jordan Seaton. We saw Cash Cleveland starting at center. We saw Zy Chrysler, who could be the most impactful transfer that we've brought in, just in terms of helping the offense develop. We saw him at right guard. And then my big question mark was, who were we going to see at right tackle? It wasn't Phillip Houston. Now, Phillip Houston was dressed, but he wasn't in pads. So I think that's good. He wasn't in like a brace or anything like that. So hopefully, with whatever he's recovering from, he's going to get back on the field here shortly, because I think he's got a starting right tackle position spot to fight for. But it wasn't Phillip Houston. It wasn't A&M transfer Aki Ogumbaye, who I thought might get some reps there. It wasn't Harde Smith yet, man. They're not putting a freshman on the first team. No. Mana Taimani, transfer from Ole Miss, played guard at Ole Miss. He was starting with the rest of the line. So it's going to be interesting to see, guys, if they continue this rotation or if they add a rotation in there for like next practice. If we see somebody else working with the ones, that's how they've done it before. I'm going to pay attention to this. I also thought it was interesting when they did the relay race at the end of practice. It was between the offensive line and the defensive line. Fastest defensive line guys against the fastest offensive line guys. And I thought it was very interesting. Of course, you saw Jordan Seaton in that relay race. You also saw Cash Cleveland, if I remember correctly. And you guys correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure, I'm like 98% sure, Mana Taimani was part of that relay. So that's really interesting, guys, to pay attention to. Maybe Gunnar White and the rest of the offensive line coaching staff, they have found the position for Mana Taimani because he has not been on the field consistently. I do think right tackle is still a position that we'll look to add when the spring portal opens. But yeah, he's a big guy. And I mean, he definitely looks big on tape. 6'4", 345 pounds. But from what I saw in some of those videos on Well Off and Reach the People, I thought he moved pretty well. Going up against some faster, twitchier edges that we got on our roster, such as Taj McCoy. Thought it was very, very interesting. Now, you can see here, he got in a little bit of action this past year at Ole Miss. He played left tackle, 10 snaps against Furman. Then he played right guard against Middle Tennessee and Georgia Southern, so lower level programs. But the good thing is that gave up no pressures, hurries, hits, or sacks. He's doing his job from that standpoint. Was at Ole Miss in 2023, where let's see where he lined up at there, left guard. And then you saw at Wyoming, he played 5 snaps at right tackle. So does have very, very small playing experience at right tackle. And I thought that was very interesting, again, that we're seeing him get some run there. If he ends up being like one of these surprises or diamonds in the rough, this would be incredible for our offensive line. To have a guy of this size that should be able, hopefully, to shore up the pass blocking. But what's really important is that they work together as a unit to establish an incredible run game. Of course, Marshall Faulk looked right at home, working with the running backs, teaching them to slow down, Just because you're the fastest doesn't mean that you're doing everything correctly. Slow down, make sure that you're making your reads, you're sticking to your technique, all of that. I really did appreciate how he was talking about that, as well as the importance of making sure that they give their full on effort during the special teams drills, because special teams is what's going to carry you on the road if you're on the bubble, right? Because not everybody travels in the road games. I love the fact that he set that expectation in tone early, and I can't wait to see what happens there. So Mana Taimani getting the day one reps at right tackle, number 57, if I remember. And again, love to see the fact that Cash Cleveland working with the ones. We'll see if we see some more rotation there at the interior line. But I was pleased to see that also Kareem Harden was starting in there over Tyler Brown. And of course, Chrysler, I think he's pretty much a shoe-in to be a starter on this offensive line. So huge takeaway. The other takeaway was that Isaiah Hardge looked incredible. Now, we didn't see any of Omari and Miller, I don't think, unless you guys noticed him and I didn't, in these videos. But Isaiah Hardge, man, again, sometimes it takes these guys, if they're not big-time blue-chip recruits, a couple years before they start making noise, before they're actually truly ready to contribute. And I think just first look at day one, I think he's going to be a contributor on offense, which I think is really, really exciting. And you can put him in the backfield, you can put him out wide, truly a jack of all trades. And I believe Robert Livingston, if I remember correctly from my video yesterday, mentioned him about getting reps on defense at corner as well. So keep an eye on him. Love to see that he was featured making plays, looked very explosive and fast, like you'd expect. And from what we've seen from him in practice in the spring games, over the last couple of years. So I love that. Terrell Timmons, I thought looked great as well. He had a nice grab, and I think that he's going to have a nice role in the offense this year. Quanell Farrakhan Jr. Looked explosive. He's wearing the number 14 that Will Shepherd most recently wore. So keep an eye on him. Very, very interesting to see him making some great plays down the field. And, of course, Kaidon Salter and Julian Lewis. Hey, that was cool to see them warming up with each other, all of that. And it seems like they're both taking on this competition with a great attitude. Of course, Kaidon Salter, as I think most of us have expected, he ran with the ones on the first day. Are we going to see a rotation there at quarterback with the ones, or is Julian Lewis going to have to earn a rotation? That's going to be interesting. Is he going to have to really prove something with the twos before he's working with the ones? That's going to be interesting to pay attention to. But guys, thank you for your time. I just thought that this was very interesting. I was hoping I kind of waited a little bit longer today because I was hoping that we would drop another video, but or they would drop another video. But I guess we didn't have practice today, or maybe I just missed some things. So y'all let me know your takeaways so far in the comments. Again, I just love the fact that we're back at it. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how all these position competitions work their way out. So smash that like, subscribe, hit me up in the comments. I'll be back tomorrow. Let's go Buffs.